Charlie knew that Philip was doing it for his own good, but he still shook his head gently. He said very seriously, "Uncle, although I have a relatively short relationship with my parents, I have only lived with them for 8 years, but in my body what is flowing is the blood of the two of them. If I cannot avenge them in this life, how can I be worthy of the blood and life they gave me?" Lenon didn't speak, and when she heard this, she couldn't help but sigh with red eyes. So loyal. Charlie's personality and temperament are almost exactly the same as those of Big Brother Wade back then. If Big Brother Wade got into the sand in his eyes, he wouldn't be resolute. Resolutely took his wife and children to leave Eastcliff. You could not persuade Big Brother Wade back then, and now you may not be able to persuade Charlie. Philip nodded sullenly, sighed, looked at Charlie, then at his daughter Sarah, and said seriously, "Charlie, other things can be slowed down first. If you really want to be an enemy of the Wade family in the future, let Wade family pays the price, and at least they have to be strong enough." As Philip said, he paused slightly and said with a serious face, "From my point of view, your top priority is to leave Orus Hill and return to Eastcliff, and get married with my daughter first. At that time, even if you have not officially returned to the Wade family, you are also a member of my GU family. If I do not die by chance, I will be able to make some arrangements for you so that you can lay a foundation in GU family, so that the resources and connections of this family can be used by you." When Lenon heard this, she nodded without hesitation and said, "Yes, Charlie, although you are already married now, your marriage contract with our daughter is more than 20 years earlier than your current marriage, so the girl from the Wilson family, in a sense, can be regarded as getting involved in your original engagement." Speaking of this, Lenon was busy expressing her position. Of course, the aunt is not accusing her. After all, she is not responsible for this matter. The aunt just wants to say that according to your parents' arrangements back then, you should marry our daughter. As for the Wilson family girl, my family will not lose her by then. After the divorce, we will prepare her $1 billion in cash compensation, so we will never make it difficult for you. Charlie was a little embarrassed at once. Before he came to Gu's family, what worried him most was that Sarah's parents talked about the marriage contract with him. After all, so many years have passed since the childhood marriage contract. For so many years, he and Sarah have not met each other, and there is no relationship basis. If he was still single now, considering his parents' arrangements before death, he could cultivate relationships with Sarah. If they get along, he might as well follow his parents' orders to get married. But now that he already married, how can he abandon Claire and be with Sarah in this situation? Seeing Charlie's silence, Lenon sighed and said seriously, "Charlie, your uncle's current physical condition, you must have heard about it from our daughter. Before that, we have been with your uncle. After treatment abroad for a long time, the domestic doctors discovered that your uncle's condition has deteriorated in the past 2 days, and are persuading him to continue the hospital treatment, but the situation is not optimistic. Maybe one day." Speaking of this, Lenon was feeling a little sad for a while, choked up a few times, wiped her tears, and then continued, "The marriage contract between you and Sarah was made by the 4 parents. 2 of them have already departed this world. So, your uncle's body may not last too long. Your parents left early and didn't see your 2 children get married. Auntie hopes from the bottom of the heart that your uncle will not have the same regret." Sarah's eyes were already red, and she sat motionless, tears streaming incessantly. At this moment, she is still the female star that people all over the country and people all over the world love crazily. Now she is a poor and helpless little girl. Charlie can't help but feel pity when he sees her. At this time, Philip coughed a few times with some discomfort. After he recovered, he said seriously, "Charlie, in the past 10 years, you have lived in Orus Hill, as an unrecognized man. Now your identity should be back to the level." As he said, he sighed from the bottom of his heart. Although the GU family can't let you soar into the sky, but with the support of the GU family, if you return to the Wade family in the future, you will have a certain degree of confidence. If you want to compete for the Wade family's property, there will be GU family behind you. The chance of success will be much greater. Charlie felt ashamed after hearing this. He did not expect that even if he left the Wade family, even if he was married, Philip and Lenon still hoped to fulfill their marriage contract that year and marry Sarah, whom hundreds of millions of people have admired. The more so, the stronger his regret for Sarah and the entire GU family. At this time, Philip said, "Charlie, I was not going to go to the hospital for treatment anymore. I have seen all the big winds and waves in my life, so I am not afraid of death. I hope I can walk with more dignity, but today, after seeing you again after so many years, I suddenly have a desire to survive. My best hope now is to see you and Sarah marry with my own eyes. If I can live until you two have a child, it will be a 3 life. Fortunately, I will die without regret." Sarah on the side burst into tears, choked up. "Dad, don't say that." Philip smiled slightly and said seriously, "You know your dad, and I am never hypocritical or sensational. The words you just said are from the heart." After finishing speaking, he looked at Lennon and said seriously, "Wife, make a phone call with doctor, and say I want active treatment, can live 1 more day, live until my daughter is married, and live to hold a grandson and granddaughter. No matter how many crimes I suffer, it is worth it." Lennon immediately nodded excitedly.